Hello and welcome students. We are into the lecture of the lecture series, video lecture series of the subject machine design, whose subject code is ME303, and the topic which we are going to discuss today is the design for finite life for completely reversed stresses. I am Shri Krishna Mishra, Assistant Professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Suresh Gyan Vihar University, Jaipur. First of all, let's have a look on the objectives of today's lecture. The lecture objectives of today's lecture are: first, to understand the concept of reverse loading; second, to know about the factors considered while designing for reverse loading; and the third lecture objective is to solve numericals on finite life problems. So basically, in continuation with the previous lecture where I have taught you, where we have discussed the problems based on reverse loading, and in that too the problems based on infinite life. All right. So in continuation with that lecture, today I am going to teach you about the questions which are based on again the same concept, the concept of reverse loading, but the cases of in place of infinite life. Today we will discuss the cases of finite life. All right, finite life and infinite life, as I have already told you, what is that? Come into the discussion part now. As I have already told you, in the cases of design for fatigue, there are two types of problems which exist. First, the components may be subjected to completely reversed stresses, all right, or in the case second, the components are subjected to fluctuating stresses. So there can be any of the two cases. Now, if the case is of completely reversed stress, if the case is of completely reversed stress, as you can see, completely reversed stress, that is the case number one. If this is the case, so in such cases what we used to do in these cases, again in these cases, in the case of completely reversed stress, again it can be subclassified, into two subcategories. It can be subclassified into two subcategories. Now what are those subcategories? First is the design for finite life, all right, and the second one is design for infinite life. All right. Now, as I have already told you, these completely reversed stress, in these cases, in the cases of completely reversed stress, generally what happens? Generally in these cases you will find that the loading is in this way. I am showing you with the help of the graph. Before also I have told to you. So if you are showing stress on the y-axis and time on x-axis, so you will find that in cases of completely reversed stresses, the load is changing, the stress value is changing, and also the nature of the stress is also changing. Like here, see, from tensile to compressive, it is going from tensile to compressive and passing the zero mark and passing the zero line. All right, so such is the case of completely reversed stress. All right, it is subdivided into finite and infinite life. Now the other case which I will discuss in the next lecture, that will be of fluctuating stresses. All right, in these cases of fluctuating stresses, I will teach you about the some diagrams. I will make a diagram between the ultimate tensile strength value, all right, and the between the mean stress value and the amplitude stress value, and on the basis of that I will explain you what is modified Goodman diagram, and other there are more failure criteria which we will discuss when we will move to this particular section of fluctuating stress. So our today's lecture motive is to discuss our today's lecture motive is to discuss this particular topic, the topic of completely reversed stress. All right, and in that too, the case of infinite life. Sorry, the case of finite life. Infinite life cases we have already discussed. Infinite life cases we have already discussed. So let's move into the discussion part. Fluctuating stress. Once again, let me brief fluctuating stress. As I have already told you, if this is y-axis and this is x-axis. So in cases of fluctuating load, on y-axis we have stress, on x-axis we have time t. So in cases of fluctuating stresses, you have a mean stress. All right, and the nature is not as in cases of completely reverse stress. Here the case is that the load is varying, but it is not passing the zero line. All right, and it is completely tensile in nature either, or completely compressive in nature. So in these cases you have a in these type of cases you have a mean stress value. All right, you have minimum stress value as well as you have maximum stress value. So now moving into the case of completely reverse stress, and in that too the cases of finite life, and in that too the cases of finite life. Moving further, as I have already told you, the completely reversed stresses are further subdivided into design for finite life and design for infinite life. In the case 1, design for infinite life, which we have already studied in our previous lecture, the failure criteria was endurance limit. Endurance limit was the failure criteria. All right. What we used to do, we have used to calculate the amplitude stress induced in component. All right, and on the basis of that, how we can use to calculate the amplitude stress, by the use of these formula. Amplitude stress is equal to endurance limit divided by a factor of safety. All right, but in the cases for finite life, what we do, students, we have to make a SN curve. We have to make a SN curve. I have already explained you what is SN curve. Basically, first of all, what do you mean by a finite life problem? For by the name finite life, it means that the question will ask you that what will be the stress value, so that the specimen can sustain a particular number of cycles. All right, and for that particular value of number of cycles, for that particular value of number of cycles, we have to calculate the corresponding value of fluctuating stress. All right, or if the fluctuating stress load value is given to us, if the fluctuating stress load value is given to us, so from that we have to calculate, we will go reverse. For that we will go reverse and we will calculate the value of number of cycles that it can sustain before failure. Number of cycles that it can sustain before failure. All right, so what we will do, how we will draw the SN curve? First of all, let me replicate this diagram which is made in the screen. I am going to replicate this diagram so that you can understand it in a better way. First of all, there is a x-axis. First of all, there is a x-axis. There is a x-axis. All right, which denotes what? Which denotes the number of cycles, and since the number of cycles are always in the powers of 10, so to make it shorter, we have taken the log value of number of cycles. Means we are taking on n-axis log. We are taking on n-axis, what we are taking log 10. All right, log n. All right, log n. And on y-axis, what we are doing? On y-axis, students, we are taking What we are taking on y-axis, we are taking the again we are taking the fluctuating stress load, fluctuating stress value, and here also we are taking the log value of fluctuating stress. Means on y-axis, your y-axis depicts what it depicts your log of fluctuating stress, to which we write in this way, log SF. All right, again, after performing the test, fluctuating load test on rotating beam specimen in a fatigue testing machine, we used to get some failure points. Like here. All right, here we will get some failure points. All right, in this way, as we go on reducing the as we go on decreasing the stress value, we see that the number of cycles before failure increases. All right, and this is shown by these failure points. These are what? These all points, these particular points, these all are failure points. All right, students. So if you join these all failure lines by a straight line, approximate straight line, in this way, you will find the graph will be made in this type. Now at this particular position where there is no failure after a certain point of time, so this particular portion is represented by 10 to the power 6 number of cycles. Means we consider that there, if a material can sustain 10 to the power 6 number of cycles, means it will lead an infinite life. All right, so corresponding to this 10 to the power 6 number of cycles, the value of corresponding to this 10 to the power 6 number of cycles, the value of fluctuating stress is known as your endurance limit. All right, now this point is known as A, and this point is known as B. This A point is generally located at 0.9 SUT. All right, and generally we used to take the log value, so you will put a log also here. It will be log 0.9 SUT. It will be log 0.9 SUT. Log 0.9 SUT. All right. Now students, if for example the number of stress cycles are given to you, now I am omitting the thing which I have drawn and I am using this already drawn diagram. In this diagram, students, you can see if I have to calculate the stress value for a particular number of cycles, I will point that particular number of cycles on x-axis, and corresponding to that point I will see that where is the vertical line drawn from that particular number of cycles strikes this line AB. Wherever it strikes, at that particular point I will find the stress value, I will find the fluctuating stress value, and that value will give me the value of stress for a particular number of cycles. The reverse is also true. Means if for example you have fluctuating load value and you have to find the number of cycles corresponding to that particular fluctuating stress value, means you have to find that when the failure will occur, if such a type of load is applied, means when after how much number of cycles the material will fail when a particular SF load fluctuating stress is applied on the object. So how we will do in the same way, first of all I will draw a line from this point log SF to this line AB in the horizontal direction. Wherever it will intersect a line AB, from that point I will draw a vertical line. From that I will draw a vertical line. Alright, wherever it strikes the x-axis, that point will give you the log value of the number of cycles required. Alright, so I hope the whole of the process of solution, the whole of the process of finding solution in the case of finite life problems is understood to you. Now with the help of example, we will find the solution, we will design. This is the question in front of you. First of all, let's read out what is given in the numerical. Numerical says that there is a rotating bar made of steel whose ultimate tensile, this is ultimate tensile strength value UT, you write it UT in subscript, whose ultimate tensile stress value is 630 Newton per mm square, and it is subjected to a completely reversed bending stress. It is subjected to completely reversed bending stress. Reversed bending stress. Now the question says that the corrected endurance limit of the bar is, what is this? This is the endurance limit. Corrected endurance limit means the final value. You don't have to multiply with the correction factors, with the derating factors. So this is the corrected value of endurance limit. Then the question says that you have to find the fatigue strength. What has to be calculated? You have to find the fatigue strength of the bar for how many number of cycles? For 90,000 number of cycles. So all the things which are given to you, all the things which are given to you, all already we have highlighted them. This was what? This was your endurance limit, sigma E. We used to denote it by sigma E. This is your endurance limit. Sigma E or SE, generally we used to denote either by sigma E or by SE, whichever you feel like. I am denoting it by SE because we have used this particular notation previously also, and number of cycles by capital N. So basically what we will do, students, we will try to draw this diagram. How we will try? First of all we will draw a vertical line and a horizontal line. This vertical line will denote the fluctuating load value, and the horizontal line will denote the number of cycles, log value of number of cycles. Now again I will mark a point A at which location? At 0.9 of SUT. So 0.9 of SUT, how you will calculate? You have the value SUT given in the numerical, just multiply it and you will get the value of 0.9 SUT. So this particular location will be your 0.9 SUT. It is basically what? It is basically your point A. All right. Then after I will locate from the data given in the numerical, I will locate one more point, and that will be which point? This point log value we have already calculated in the second step, log value of this 0.9 SUT, so as to mark in as point A on y-axis. Then after I will locate the endurance limit point on this y-axis. First of all, endurance limit value is given to you in the question. It is 315 Newton per mm square. Its log value we will have to calculate. So we have calculated the log value of endurance limit. It is 2.4983. And then after what I will do, one more data is given in the numerical, and that is the number of cycles data. So number of cycles are given to you. What I will do, I will find its log value. I will also find the log value of the number of cycles. So now the three data are given to us. One data, on the basis of these three data, I will make this SN curve. One, this point. Second data is this one, and the third data is this one. Now corresponding to this particular point, what I will do, corresponding to this particular point, what I will do, from here I will draw a vertical line, from here I will draw a vertical line in this way, and then a horizontal line wherever it strikes this line AB, wherever it strikes this line AB. All right, so here it is striking, so at this corresponding point I will draw a vertical line and find what is the stress value here at this point. But we are using a analytical method, so in analytical method generally we have to use some calculations. So how we will use the calculations, let me omit everything which I have written in the screen and now focus on this SN curve. In this SN curve you can see, students, there is a triangle made in this way. All right, and also there is a small triangle, I am highlighting it by blue color, this. Now as you can see, these two triangles are similar to each other. Because this angle is the common angle, and also the ratio, this angle is the common angle, and also these angles, this particular angle is 90 degree equal to this angle, and this angle is equal to this angle, because this is the case of corresponding angles. All right, so since these two triangles, this red triangle as highlighted by me and the blue triangle, these two are similar to each other, therefore what will happen, let me give the name also to each of the point. This particular point is your A. All right, then after this particular point is your B. All right, then after C, let's denote C, this point as C. Let's denote this point as C, and again this point as D, and again this point as E. All right, so in this way all the points we have listed out. Now what we will do, by the similarity of the triangle, students, with the help of the similarity of the triangle, we can write that AD divided by AC, all right, AD divided by AC will give you the value, AD divided by AC will give you the value equal to C. Generally when the two triangles are similar to each other, then the ratio of the sides, the ratio of the corresponding sides of the two triangles are also equal. This means that AD, the side of the smaller triangle, which I have denoted by red color previously, the side of the smaller triangle, this side, all right, this will be equal to this by this side will be equal to this by this side will be equal to this DE side by this BC side. All right, so let me write it. I am writing that AD by AC, which I have already written, that will be equal to DE by BC. All right, DE by BC, like this way. Now further, this particular thing which I have written, can again be written as BC. We all know, here you can see that BC, this particular length from B to C, this particular length will be equal to this particular length. All right, and this is how much? This is equal to 6 minus 3. So in place of BC you can write 6 minus 3. This means 6 minus 3 means 3. All right, so this we have calculated. And AD, for calculating AD, students, what we will do for calculating this AD length, For AD it will be equal to this particular length from here to here, all right, minus this particular length from here to here. Now from here to here this length is 2.7536, and from here to here this particular length is 2.4983. So when we will minus these two, we will get this particular length from here to here again. All right, so by this we will calculate this particular length. This I have already told you, this will be equal to 6 minus 3. Two lengths we have already obtained. The remaining length means DE will be easily calculated. All right, so let's move now. So we can write this particular thing in this way. We can write AD. For AD you can write AD is equal to 2.4983. all right, 2.4983. sorry, will not be there. For AD the complete length from the bottom 0 to the top A is equal to 2.7536. so 2.7536. all right, this will be equal to how much? 2.7536 divided by what is AC? AC is here 2.4983. all right, this it will be equal to how much? It will be equal to DE. DE is how much? As I have already told you, DE, for DE this point E value is not known to us. So corresponding to vertical line of this point E, you find that this is the unknown which we have to calculate. So let it be log n. Let n be the number of cycles. Now n has been given to you. So since n is given to you, one mistake I think we have done here. What is the mistake? The mistake is that student, in place of AD you will not write the value. AD will, how we will calculate AD? For calculating AD you will have to subtract this 2.75836 value from log SF. Means what you will write, students? You will write it in this way: 2.7536 minus log of which value? Log of SF value. all right, and divided by now in place of AC you can write, in place of AC what you will write again? 2.7536 minus AC is what? 2.4983. all right, so in this way this is the LHS. Now we are equating it with the RHS. RHS is DE. DE is of how much? DE, you already know, a number of cycles are given to you. So log of this number of cycles you will calculate. It is equal to 4.9542. So this will come in the numerator of the RHS. How we will write? DE will be written as 4.9542 divided by BC. BC is how much? BC, as I have already told you, it is 6 minus 3. It is 6 minus 3, students, in this way. So in this way this is the equation, and it has got only one unknown. What is the unknown? Log SF. So this you can calculate. So the fluctuating strength for a corresponding number of cycles can be calculated in this way. So this numerical, I hope you have got an understanding of this numerical. Let's focus. This is the solution. Finally, the answer which you will get, it will be equal to the answer which you will get. It will be equal to how much? It will be equal to whatever you will get in log form. all right, so you will have to find finally the anti-log value of it, and this will give you the load value, fluctuating load value. You will finally get this value, and from this value you can calculate the fluctuating stress value. It is equal to 386.63. I hope you have understood this solution. Now let's focus into the next numerical. So what is the next numerical saying to you? In the next numerical, in this particular numerical which you are seeing on the screen, it is saying to you that there is a forged steel bar 50 mm in diameter and it is subjected to reversed bending stress of 250 Newton per mm square. This is the diameter 50 mm of the bar. It is a steel bar and it is subjected to reversed bending stress of 250 Newton per mm square. What is the value of the bending stress? 250 Newton per mm square. Now the question is saying you the bar is made of steel 40C8. This is the material for steel and the ultimate tensile strength value of this material is 600 Newton per mm square. Further, the question asks you calculate the life of the bar for a reliability of 90%. So since the reliability percent is given to you, this means that we will have to calculate the derating factors and from that we will find the actual value of endurance limit. So whatever is given in the numerical, first of all the fluctuating load value means 250. So it's fluctuating stress value 250. This this is the load value corresponding to which we have to find the life of the bar. All right. So 250 is what? 250 is the particular content given for finding this log of SF. SF is 250, log of 250 is 2.3979. So we will again draw this SN diagram and we will highlight this particular point as to, after calculating its log value, we will write it here 2.3979. All right. Apart from that, in the question they have given you the ultimate tensile strength value. And as I have already told you that in case of steel, we all know that the endurance limit, experiment endurance limit value can be calculated by formula as E dash is equal to 0.5 SUT, as E dash is equal to 0.5 SUT. All right. So this is there. On the basis of this, we have also calculated the endurance limit value, but this is the experimental value. Keep in mind, we will have to find the actual endurance limit value. For that, we will have to first of all get the value of the derating factors. For one reliability means for Kc factor, Kc is the reliability factor. So Kc can be calculated from the table given in data book corresponding to the value of reliability 90%. Corresponding to the value of reliability 90%, we will find the value of Kc. We will find the value of Kc. So Kc is equal to, if you will find, you will see that Kc is equal to 0.897. Again, from the size of the bar, which is given, from this particular size 50 mm, we can calculate the value of size factor denoted by Kb. So as we all know from the table given in design data book, for calculating the size factor, if the diameter is between below 70, means it is, since in the question it is 50 mm diameter, this means that Kb will, from the table you can calculate, it is equal to 0.85. Again here, since the machining process, the process used is forging, since the bar is forged bar and the ultimate tensile strength value is 600 Newton per mm square. So corresponding to these corresponding to this data in data book, you will find that surface finish factor Ka is equal to 0.44. Now since there is no any stress razor in the bar, there is no abrupt cross section change in the bar, therefore there will be no Kd. So ignoring that Kd particular size derating factor and multiplying all the other factors which we have calculated, Ka, Kb, Kc, multiplying it with the experimental value already calculated before, so multiplying that value, we will get the actual value of endurance limit. Alright, so when you have calculated the actual value of endurance limits, then for making this particular diagram, what you will do, you will have to multiply this ultimate tensile strength value. First of all, we will multiply it by 0.9. Why we have multiplied with 0.9 and we have calculated its log value? Because we have to show it in this point A, for getting this point A. Then after this endurance limit value we have calculated, and we will find again its log value also, so as to mention the endurance limit point on this SN curve. It is equal to 2.0028. And then after, since the fluctuating load value is also given, so we will also find its log value, so as to mark that point E on the SN curve. Again, this will be your 6 and this will be your 3. Now again, as in the previous question we have done the same thing, we will do here. The data which is given, we have already shown highlighted in this SN curve. Now using the similarity of the triangle, we will see again the same similarity of the triangle which we have used in the previous one also. Similarity of this triangle, this red highlighted AEF, this AEF will be similar to the bigger triangle, this one, triangle ADB. Now if they are similar, then the ratio of the corresponding sides will be equal. Alright, this means that AE by AD will be equal to EF by DB. What I am telling to you? I am telling you that AE, I am writing in capital, AE divided by AD will be equal to, this particular term AE divided by AD. This will be equal to how much? It will be equal to corresponding side similar to AE is what? AE by AD is equal to EF by DB. EF by DB. Alright. EF by DB in this way. Now AE, how we will calculate AE? Again, for AE you can write AE is equal to how much? The value of A is 2.7324 and the value of E is 2.3979 divided by, what is the AD value? AD will be, A is your 2.7324, alright, minus, what is D? It is 2.0028. Alright. This is your LHS and it will be equal to, how much? EF by, let me small this equal sign, it will be equal to how much? It will be equal to EF will be how much? F is your log n. As you can see, F denotes your log n value. Vertical line, if you will draw from this point F, you will see that the corresponding value is log n. So log n minus, what is E? E is your 3. So log n minus E is your corresponding vertical on the vertical line, you see the corresponding to E point, what is the value? 3, and corresponding to F point, what was the value? Log n. So log n minus 3 divided by what is DB? DB is what? It is equal to 6 minus 3. It is equal to 6 minus 3. So from this particular equation, you can calculate the number of cycles before failure when 250 Newton per mm load as per the equation is applied on the bar. So when you will do this, you will find from this equation the value of log n, and after calculating the value of log n, you can calculate the value of n. Okay, all right, by doing its anti-log, by taking its anti-log value. See here, finally what we have done, students, we have calculated this EF portion, and EF is basically, we have directly wrote everything in the equation itself, and finally we have calculated the number of cycles value. So this is your answer, this is your students answer. All right. Now let's discuss let's now discuss some multiple choice questions related to the topic discussed today. First first MCQ is saying to you that the stress distribution consists of tensile stresses for half cycle and compressive stresses for remaining half cycles, and the stress cycles passes through zero. So this is the case of, we all know, if the stress cycle passes through zero, if the stress cycle passes through zero, then this case is of reversed stress. This case is of reverse stress. So answer is your option A. Coming into the multiple choice question number 2. Question says that in case of dash, there is always a mean stress, and the stress can be purely tensile, purely compressive, or mixed depending upon the magnitude of mean stress. So we all know, if there is mean stress value, if it is not equal to 0, then that case is the case of fluctuating stress. So C is the answer. Coming into the MCQ number 3 and MCQ number 4. First of all, we will discuss the multiple choice question number 3. So what the question is saying to you: in certain applications, the mechanical component is subjected to different stresses for different part of the work cycles. The life of such a component is determined by, now this is exactly related, though it is related to the content of today's lecture, but still this Miner's equation is still to be discussed. I will tell you what is the Miner's equation. Keep it in your mind that the mechanical component, if it has different stress value for different parts of a work cycle, means in this way, if you have a line, if with the help of the graph, if I show you, then we can show in this way that for the particular stress, you have a stress value for a particular time like this. Then again, though it is fluctuating, but stress has got lessened here, then again it has increases in this way, all right, and then again it has decreased. So you are seeing that for a particular number of cycles, the stress values are different from here to here. You have a different value of the peak value of the stress. Then from here to here you have different value, and again here it has increased. So you are having different stress value for different number of cycles. So such is the case. Such cases are discussed by Miner's equation. Now coming into the multiple choice question number 4. The endurance limit in axial loading is lower than we all know that in axial loading we always have to multiply the calculated value of endurance limit with 0.8. This means that for axial loading the endurance limit value is less than rotating beam test endurance value. Coming into the next MCQ, 50% reliability, question number 5. 50% reliability means that reliability factor. So we all know, we can get its proof also. You will see that in data book also this table is given, that for 50% reliability the reliability factor is always 1. So you should learn it, though it is not needed always that for 90% or for 70% also you will have to know the reliability factor value, but for a 50% reliability you should know that its reliability factor is 1. Coming into the MCQ number 6. The endurance limit subjected to fluctuating torsional shear stresses of a component is obtained from the endurance limit in reverse bending using, see, if the case is of torsional shear stress, then in that case the endurance limit value obtained from rotating beam test, that directly you can't take that value, you will have to use the theory of failure. So in the case of torsional shear stress and the load, if the load is fluctuating, so in that cases we use the theory of failure. Coming into the MCQ number 7. The endurance limit subjected to fluctuating torsional shear stress of a component is obtained from endurance limit in reverse bending by, so in case of torsional shear stresses, students, you can calculate the endurance limit value by multiplying the experimental value by 0.5. So C is the correct answer. Coming into the MCQ number 8. When the component is subjected to an axial fluctuating load, the endurance limit is given by, so in cases of axial fluctuating load, the equation used for calculating the endurance limit is which among the following A, B, C, D? Well, option A, endurance limit SEA for axial loading is equal to 0.8 time into SE, endurance limit for rotating, obtained from the rotating beam experiment. Alright, so option A is the correct option. Coming into the multiple choice question number 9. What is the question saying to you? The modifying factor KD to account for the effect of stress concentration is equal to, so we all know when we calculate KD, it is calculated by 1 upon KF. So option A is your correct option. Coming into the MCQ number 10, whatever is the machining method, the value of surface finish factor for cast iron part is always taken as, so for cast iron always keep in mind that for cast iron the surface finish factor means Ka is always equal to 1. Coming into, let's discuss two more MCQs. The minimum number of cycles to be considered for for reverse loading is, so the number of cycles to be considered infinite. We all know that 10 to the power 6 number of cycles before failure are considered as infinite number of cycles. So option B is the correct option. Then coming into the MCQ number 10. The point of SN curve at y-axis is equal to, so on SN curve we all know that the point A, it is asking you about the point A. The point A of SN curve at y-axis is shows which value? It shows the value 0.9 SUT. So D is the correct answers. So we have discussed all the multiple choice questions related to today's lecture. I hope the lecture is well understood by you. For reference, you can use any of the book from this given listed here. Now we will again meet in the next lecture and we will discuss about the failure cases of fluctuating load. Alright, so thank you and have a nice day.